Right, guys, we'll make a start. Firstly, thank you for coming into our Peninsula Breakout, and thank you for attending the whole day, really. Hope you found that first part useful for you guys. I thought there was some great little bits in the chat and working between everyone there. Some really good stuff from Afpi and Sue, and some facts and figures from Jane at Sport England that were a little bit worrying, but also gives us a lot to work on moving forward. So just a little bit of housekeeping. So we've got about 30 minutes to 12:15 for this session. If you guys can keep your microphones on mute, I don't mind if you've got your cameras on, that's absolutely up to you. If you want to put anything in the chat box, I'll try and monitor that as well. And this session is recorded, okay? So just to make you all aware, the session's recorded. It will be available for everyone after this on the Active Corner website. So what I asked you yesterday in my email was just to send in any questions that you might like answered. So what the plan is to basically work through those. I've had quite a few, so thank you for sending those in. Firstly, it really gives us something to work on in this next bit. I will just show you what I've got. So these are a list of the questions that I've received so far. There was a few more this morning that I haven't managed to squeeze in yet, but hopefully you might have time to get through to those. So what I'm going to do is kind of answer the questions, as best I can. And what I would really like from you guys is we've got secondaries and primaries in here mixed in just to make you all aware. But try and answer them between us and what knowledge we've got across our partnership in Peninsula. So if I try and answer them, what I ask you to do is if you can raise your hand, so if you use the raise your hand button, if you can contribute, I'll just say to you, can you answer, turn your camera and microphone on, and then you can contribute. That's probably the neatest and tidiest way of doing it. Hopefully that's all okay. But anything else you want to put, just whack it in the chat. I'm just going to start sort of going over that first session and what I found useful. So that first stat and figure from the Active Life Survey, the last point was 25% of our children in Cornwall are inactive for, that means under 30 minutes a day. That's quite a worrying fact. And obviously with the lockdown and the next data, it's probably going to be even lower. So we've got some real things to get stuck into next, from the new year and from now, really. So it's some good things to get stuck into there. What Sue was saying about the AFP and the COVID triangle. So, your employer's advice is at the bottom of that. That is the most important. It was quite a good thing. And that she said all activities can be taught, was really good. And we haven't got to be worrying about what we can and can't teach. As long as we can do it safely, then we can crack on. I thought that was really good. Just from Jane's bit, the 19% of children were active for, in lockdown. Just 1 in 5 children got enough physical activity in lockdown, which is absolutely crazy to me, especially since we're now in that situation again. There's some real positive messages in there about what we can do in schools to increase that and make sure we're getting lots of physical activity into our children. And the other one I picked out, the number one reason for low activity during lockdown was their usual clubs were closed or the facilities were closed. So we've got a real big part to play in that now, in that we are the place they can get their physical activity, their PE, their sport, and what we can do to make sure that stat is higher, or lower. We haven't got so many inactive during that period. Hopefully that's good. Okay, so the first question we received, it was from lots of different people, so thank you for sending that in. I think we all had the same worries and concerns, really, about extracurricular. What is happening? Can we do it? Can't we do it? I think Sue probably answered that for you. Again, it's down to which side your school see it from. What angle do your school see that guidance from? I can say what we're doing here at Penryn. We're hopefully gonna, we're making decisions today, but we're looking to continue for next week and continue our extracurricular because we think it's really important. And I think those numbers that we've heard today make it even more justifiable. We're lucky enough to always had an extracurricular program here, or activities program for sure. We have dedicated staff members that look after that, and it isn't our day. That bit is our day. It's always been built in. We have a high percentage of parents that need childcare longer and extended, into the extended day. and we are hoping, fingers crossed, that we're going to continue. And I know a few other secondary schools, for example, Redruth and Richard Lander, have said the same. We're all sort of in the same process of hopefully making that decision today. Has anyone else got anything they want to contribute to that? Has anyone got any thoughts about what their school doing, what the SLT advice been doing? Are we all happy with what we've seen so far? If you can raise your hand if you'd like to contribute. If not, I'll just skip on. Good. Happy with that? No problem. This one is probably more secondary based as well. You know, given the updates guidance, are secondary schools still using changing rooms? If you can put your hand up and contribute to that, that'd be awesome. I can say what we're doing here, which is yes, we're still using change rooms for PE here. We are very lucky that we have employed an extra cleaner here, which makes it a lot easier. So they're cleaned down between groups every time, which makes it a lot more simple for us. Joe, thank you. You've said Pen Air, for example, are using their change rooms as normal. Hopefully that helps a little bit, Christy. I will unmute you, Christy, if you want to come in. Oh, yeah. No worries, Christy. If you want to unmute and put your camera on, we can go for it.
Hi everyone, hope you're all well. Yeah, this was one of my questions. So we're back to using our changing rooms after not using them initially, and we were due to start that this week. And then with the government guidance that was announced this week, based on using small confined spaces and the mandatory use of masks in corridors and like communal areas, it was decided that we shouldn't use the changing rooms now. So all week we've sort of had uproar from parents, lots of complaints have come in, and actually parents have asked us to go back to students arriving to school wearing kit, which we've now decided to do. But I was just interested to know how many of you were still students who are arriving to school wearing PE kit already, and how many were using change rooms. This is mainly secondary, I know, sorry.
Sure. Mr. Law, do you want to add to that? I think you've got your hand up as well.
Hi. Yeah, no, basically we're still coming at Helston, we're still coming in PE kit, and we're using the changing rooms and our activity studio and fitness week, which we're not allowed to use as a register and bag drop-off place. So we only have one group in the changing rooms, and then another boys group in the fitness week, another girls group in the activity studio. And from my point of view, because they're all coming in their PE kit and spending it in the day, we are having, I would say, like, quite happy to say, like 98% participation rate, hardly any excuses, and also because they're allowed to bring in tracksuit bottoms and a hoodie or something like that to keep themselves warm during the day. I think participation rate for us is really improved, but we've had to get tighter on what is PE kit. But in terms of them going back to uniform and coming into change rooms to get changed, yeah, it'd be lovely to go back to a bit of more normality, but we are actually having an advantage of doing it this way.
That says it's really working well for you, which is great. That's fantastic to get that higher percentage involved. Just looking through the chat, so Richard Lander, Neil saying they're the same, higher participation levels and longer lessons. Townsend saying they're having them arrive in kit and not use the changing room. But participation is up because everyone's in kit, so that's awesome bit of insight, isn't it? And on the primary side, thank you, Sally. So Sally said they're not changing for PE for primaries. They arrive in PE kit, as you guys were saying, but just in primary school, you're starting swimming on site this half term, so that's cool as well. Does that help out a little, Christy? Answer your question? You're good. Good. Yeah, pop on. I'll do a primary one because there's lots of you in there. So this was one that came a couple of times. So what weather ideas for primary? A lot of you are having to do primary PE within your classroom if it's wet, because the halls are being used for extra classrooms or there's extra lunches and things like that. So you are a little bit stuck. So I've just picked up a couple of things. So like drumber, if you remember back to the PE conference last year, some of you were up on stage doing the drumber. Could you do something like that at your desks? You know, could you use some of your PE premium money to buy the drumber equipment or something similar, you know, drum sticks and something they can bang on the table so they can get some kind of physical activity. There's a really nice project called the iMove, I don't know if you've seen it, guys. I will try and link to it or send it out afterwards. So the website is absolutely free to sign up for, and it's a whole host of videos. You can actually filter it by facility. So they've got a classroom option. There's loads of 10 to 15-minute blasts, they call them, ideas and activities in there. So you can put the video on your screen. Everyone's still at their desk, and you can do the activity. So one of them is like riding a mountain bike. So the video is actually a mountain bike, and the kids are sat in their chairs, like pedaling their arms and legs away. There's a nice way of getting physical activity in there. So have a look. Patrick's saying they use Fitter Futures interactive platform. Each child gets an individual login, which is great. Table tennis, yeah. I suppose you could just use your tables and have bats and balls and play across the tables to each other. Yes, James, it's called iMoves. If you have a look, it's awesome. It's free, as I said, iMoves. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Beth, do you want to, got your hand raised? Do you want to chip in?
Yeah, I put together a document during lockdown for the children at school for ideas that they could use at home with their parents. So there's a Key Stage 1, EYFS Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 table of websites that you can use with different various resources. I'm happy to ping that to you, Dan, and then you can ping it out if you'd like to, if you want it.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll sort that, no probs.
It'd be really awesome to share those things that you guys are doing in primary. I know you guys are really innovative in what you're doing and what you're using. Patrick, that's awesome as well. Awarding kids that bringing t-shirts and kit who are completing workouts at home, so you're getting them active outside of school as well. Absolutely brilliant. Perfect. Cool. Let's go on to another one. This is probably a big one. This is from you, Neil, wasn't it? About concerns about completing examination content and assessment, given the lots of time during the first lockdown. You've no idea how you're supposed to complete 3 units in 1 year. So, has anyone got some advice from Neil on that? If you're able to chip in, if you raise your hand or in the chat, don't mind. Christy?
Hi, Neil. I know for the Cambridge Technical, which I know is 6 on that you haven't got, I don't know if it's the same. We've been told that the CAG grades that we gave back in March will stand for externally assessed units. Say, for example, my students were due to do a Unit 1 exam during lockdown, which they now will accept my CAG grade 4, so that they're not having to repeat it this year and give them extra work. So I'd imagine that's the same for the Cambridge National. We had an update this week, I think it was about 2 days ago. So the National might be due to follow.
Hopefully that happens and that helps out a little bit. Kerry, have you still got your hand up from the last one, or did you want to chip in?
Yeah, sorry, it's Kirsty. Just to say, Neil, just on that, I sent you an email a couple of days ago on the latest update. There are some changes of how we teach the Key Stage 4, so Cambridge National, on sports studies and sports science. It was proposed to the DFE that we would drop a unit. So if we had 3 units to do this year, we dropped to 2. If we had 2, we dropped to 1. But the DFE haven't approved it at this point. I think if there's a further lockdown and schools shut again, then this will be the next point to go to, if that helps.
Keep people peeled on emails and websites and things like that, really, isn't it? Until we hear otherwise. If I get anything, as usual, I'll send it out to all of us. No problem at all. Let's go to this one because it's probably a mix of primary and secondary. So, how are schools managing to complete in the winter games next week when you're not running clubs? If you're not running clubs, and that's your decision. We're assuming people will do it in PE lessons instead of schools, but any ideas on how to do this within the school day in bubbles? This again goes across primary and secondary. My first protocol would be PE lessons, really. Can you do it with the groups that you've got on in PE? Obviously, that might not hit your whole school, but I'd rather you participate with those that you can than not do it at all. So get some competition in them. They were really good in the summer, and it created a lot of excitement and motivation for physical activity. So try and do it in your PE lessons. CAG saying constant time primary there, so yes, doing it during a school day, and very able to do it in class bubbles. So I'm guessing they would probably do it with their class PE sessions as well. Maybe another suggestion is lunchtimes. If the facilities aren't being used, could you do it as a lunchtime activity if you've got space in the hall? Patrick, we're going to do it in PE lessons. It's been shared with all teachers. Perfect. Complete breaks or diamond time. I know we've said here at Penryn we're going to put it into PE lessons, so they will do their normal PE lessons, but we will put out, say, 5 at a time perhaps to do the challenge, and they go back in, 5 swap over, so it's not a lot of waiting around. They do it within their PE lesson. Sally, haven't registered yet, but happy to do it in PE lesson times. Perfect. Good. What was the last one? So this one, hopefully that helps for you guys that were asking about the winter games. Basically, any way you can get it in, we'd love to have your participation as always. Perfect. So clarity on fixtures, county cups, national cups, and school games. The latest guidance was quite clear. We're not allowed to play fixtures between each other. I think off the back of that, the national cups and county cups of football have been postponed until the new year, which is great. You know, we are hoping they're just postponed so we can continue it in January, which would be great to get that competition all being well. School games, obviously, we are probably going to have to continue virtually with these virtual challenges until we get you all clear to return in person. But it's something that we want to do and we're working to do as quickly and as possible. And as soon as the guidance allows, basically, we want to get back to the in-person events. Well, I'm just going to read through the chat. So yes, Christy. So this one is slightly different. So in the summer, for example, you did an event per day and it closed that night. On this school games, we've given schools more flexibility. So you've got the 4 days. You can do them in any order you want. You can submit them all the way up to the deadline. Hopefully that helps you. You don't have to do a certain one on a certain day and get it in by 5 p.m. or whatever it was. You have right the way up to the deadline to submit your results. And you can do them in any order. So hopefully that gives you a bit more flexibility. Vicky, I think that was you. School Games Award. So I will share this with you probably on Monday. The YST have sent us a framework for the new school games mark. Obviously, it's very different. The questions need to be very different because we're not getting out for events and things like that. Some schools are struggling for PE time, etc. I will send you the new framework. So your result from 2 years ago now was rolled over last year when it got cancelled in the summer. And then this new one will be a new school games framework for this year. So that will be open in normal sort of times, and June, July time it will be open. But I'll send you the framework as soon as it's finalised with us next week, so you can start working towards that for the primaries. Cool. Anything else in there? Cool. I think we've answered everything on the sheet that's been submitted, Lisa. In PE lessons, brilliant. You guys have a big conversation about your balls. Lovely. Has anyone else got any more questions that they'd like to answer? If you stick them in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, raise your hand and have a chat with me, that's absolutely fine. Anything else you want to add or ask for this period? Could you send the link for the winter games? Yeah, no problem, James. I'll send that out. Is everyone clear on those? So they start next week. So it opens on Monday at 9 a.m. goes through to Friday. It's for Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, and all the way up from secondary. Hopefully some of you have attended the webinars, which explained a bit more than that, but I will send it out again. If anyone's got any questions, just get back to me. What I will do is, obviously this has been a very quick fire session. I will send out for the secondaries, I'll send out a meeting link for heads of PE again. It's probably a good idea to get our heads together in a bit more depth. And again, for the primaries, I'll send out a cluster lead one as well. Lisa, do we still have t-shirts to come from competing in the summer games? You do, they're here at Penryn. I will get up and deliver them, or you're more than welcome to come and pick them up. If you drop me an email, we can sort that out. Going forward, can I confirm if other schools are using their fitness suites? We have and wanted to check. We have been here at Penryn, yes, for sure, Tom, as a teaching space. We're just really abiding to gym rules, so cleaning down everything in between uses. If they've got more than one person working on an exercise, they wipe it down in between them. Everything's wiped down at the end, put back, hand washing in and out, the usual type of thing, really, just being really strict on it. Has anyone else got anything? Oh, Steve said yes. St Mullion Secondary are still using their fitness suites. Richard Lander only with limited numbers and cleaning. Yeah, I guess it depends on the size and the ventilation, doesn't it? We're lucky enough, ours is quite big and it's got surrounded by glass windows, so we can open them up and it's well ventilated. At least it's a primary indoor fitness in the rule is not recommended. I wouldn't say that. I get the feeling from the guidance of what Sue said. If you're indoors, if you can ventilate and open up doors and windows, you're good to go, Lisa. CAGs, and we're using wall bars, etc. in the ball. Easy equipment, a bit like balls. Brilliant, yeah. Someone did send me a question this morning, it might have been you, Vicky, about cleaning tennis balls. I think they kind of answered that in the chat. But we're doing it here as well. We've got big dunk buckets of Milton liquid that we've just thrown everything in, leaving them in there and pulling them out a bit later so they're all cleaned. It's really easy to set up and really easy to monitor. Students hand, yeah. What to do about bib use? So we've got a bit of a laundry factory going on here at Penryn. We're lucky enough to have a washer and a dryer here. So between us, we've got a bit of a rota. So that they go on between each use. So when you finish your lesson, you have a clean bucket and a dirty bucket. You take the dirty bucket down, wrap them in the washing machine. Someone else will put them in the dryer, but we're always in and out of that room. So whoever's popping by can put them on and take them out and things like that. What I would say, Lisa, is you've got the primary premium money. If you need more bibs, go and buy some. That's a great use of that money, especially in these times. Fill your boots with bibs. Sally, washing them on a regular basis, dividing them into different bubbles. Yeah, I was going to say I've seen that as well. So some schools have split that into certain year groups only to help that cross-contamination. Yeah, we've had a mass laundry that now moving to year group bibs. We're going to be set up with bibs for the next 30 years. I think, yeah, we're probably going to have loads and loads of bibs. We won't be short for quite a while. Neil, Gareth, we've just purchased lots of new bibs, yeah, for sure. And you can justify that in your sports premium fund. No problem at all. If you want any help with that, just ping me. Anyone got any more questions? Last few minutes. All good. Ideas for spending, Colin, for your primary premium. Perhaps if anyone's got some innovative ways they've spent it, so like Cags, Beth, you're all on, Lisa, Sally, have you guys got any ideas? If you want to raise your hand or unmute yourself and have a chat with Colin. I would say, Colin, what are you spending on at the moment? It's probably a good starting point. So Beth, yeah, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, so I contacted Dan this week about this actually after speaking to my head, obviously panicking how we're actually going to spend this money. We discussed buying or giving each class, so we're 2 form entry, giving each class about 250 quid each out the sports premium to go and purchase classroom activities for either for if you need to have indoor PE lessons because you can't get outside, or wet lunch times. So things like table football and Velcro darts and the sort of the cup with the balls that you catch. So did you hear any of that, Dan?
I think you made yourself halfway.
Oh, excellent. Where did I get
to? You were saying what you're spending on the Velcro balls and that.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, so like Velcro darts and the cup and ball things that you can do. Table tennis nets that we can attach to the classroom tables because we've got loads of paddles, but we don't have the nets. some things that we can use safely. I've already booked time out for next week to risk assess that so that it is ready to come in ASAP. Hopefully we're then ticking wet plays, and we are ticking indoor classrooms, indoor classroom PE lessons if we need to. Sorry about the muting, I don't know what happened.
That's okay. Cags, you wrote outdoor gym equipment. Is there anything you can add on that? Do you want to put you on?
Me? Sorry, did you say me?
Cags, I think she's right.
Oh, Cags.
Outdoor gym equipment.
Well, I actually got the RF, to be fair. So, that's something we're looking into, just because we're outside a lot more. And even though it might be a bit muddy and wet, we're hoping to just give them more things to do while they are outside. And that hits, obviously, we had a few wall bars put in a couple of years ago, and it's amazing how many children it entertains. So if we put that within another area bubble on the field, it will make a huge difference.
When you say outdoor gym equipment, is that kind of like the thing you see when you go on holiday next to the beach?
Like they've got a Dresina centre with like the bikes and the
like pull-up bar type things.
Do you want me to add to that, because we've got that at school?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so last year we had it installed. We had, I think it was I want to say around 5,500 for the equipment and for the mats. We had it installed on the field, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bits of equipment, and you can have, I think it's up to 3 children on each piece. So we actually went as big as we possibly could so that we could hopefully potentially run PE lessons on the equipment. They are very easily cleaned. It's just a case of going down with the Tersano or whatever it's called afterwards and giving it a spray down. And then obviously if you can leave it 72 hours between usage, then even better. But yeah, it's a winner at our school, 100%. Definitely agree with that one.
That helps, Colin. If you want any more guidance, just ping me an email. We can have a bit of a chat about that. I know you might not have a huge amount of ground, so we might have a look at that. Trust I could not use the money for this. It's switched around. Not heard that, James. Again, ping me a email. We can have a look at that. There is a little bit around it being capital spend. So if it was in your school's building plan already, were they planning to have those? Then you can't use it for that. But if it was additional to that, then you can. Maybe that's where the confusion lies there. But again, ping me an email. We can have a chat about that. Rob, climbing wall, you've got the lovely little climbing wall up at Mount Hawke now, haven't you? Which has been really good. You're also not allowed to spend more than £2,000 on one piece of equipment. So these, as you say, are probably your trust guidance. So they're telling you how to spend it. It's not the actual guidelines from Sport England or DFE on the spend. So maybe have a little chat to your trust about that, or have a chat to me. Yeah, like Cags is saying, there are ways around it. Use PTA. So could you part fund if something's expensive? Could you use some of your primary money? Could you part fundraise it? So you might spend £1,500 from your budget, but then £1,500 that you've raised, for example. That might be a good way of using it. Okay. So Vicky, if you ping me an email, we can have a chat about that as well. Cool. Hopefully that's all okay, guys. Active playground markings. Yeah, it's a good spend of doing it as well. Hopefully that's all okay, guys. We've got to 12:15. I'm a little bit conscious that most of you are at school and got teaching and lunchtime duties and things like that. And we've had a long morning. So I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for contributing. That was really useful for me. This bit in the chat down the side will stay in your Teams, so you can refer back to it. So when you open your Teams down the side, it'll have a little log and it will stay there. So you can scroll back through it if you need to be. And like I said, this session is recorded and it will be on the Active Corner website for you to view back if you need to. Thank you for coming. I hope you've had a great morning. Go and have some lunch, have a break, and then the next workshop starts at 1 o'clock. Lewis, do you want to say something? Put your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to make sure everyone's received all the workshop links for this afternoon for both workshop 1 and 2. If anyone hasn't for any reason, drop me an email and I'll try and get that sorted out as soon as I can.
Thanks very much, guys. Good to see you all, or hear from you at least. Have a good afternoon.